Hello everyone, hope you are all doing fantastic. Today we're going to be reading some scary stories again. So get in your bed and pull up your covers. Don't let your hand hang out of the bed and don't let your feet hang off, because this is going to be scary. My journey through one man's strange reviews. I'm not really sure if this is the right place to post this, but I think that it's worth sharing. I have spent the last 2 days thinking about it, worrying about it, and I just need to share what I have found and hopefully someone might know more about it. It all started when I was looking at reviews on the internet for my local hospital, as I am going there in a few days for a small procedure. I just wanted to make sure that the doctors there are reliable and good at what they do. Anyway, as I was scrolling through the reviews, I came across one that for some reason it caught my attention. I have attached the review here, but have changed or removed any names and locations for privacy reasons. The staff were very friendly and my procedure was successful. May 14th, 2017. I visited the South Hill Community Hospital 6 weeks ago for a procedure on my eyes. It was cataracts. The staff there were very kind and looked after my every need before I went into surgery. They made sure that I was comfortable and clear on what the operation would entail and what to expect afterwards. When it came time for my operation to start, I was taken through by a lovely nurse. I think her name was Jenny. She made me feel relaxed by talking to me and distracting me from what was going to happen. The same nurse also gently injected the needle I needed to place me under anesthetic. From what I hear, the surgery was very successful and I awoke feeling a bit groggy, but the staff at South Hill attended at my every need. I did have one moment that was a bit scary though, and maybe my own small complaint about my experience. About an hour after I had woken up from surgery, I suddenly lost all vision, and everything went completely black. I began to panic and scream a bit, and I heard one of the staff let out a deep, long laugh, almost like they were laughing at me. I am overlooking this though because of how fantastic the rest of the staff were at calming me down. Luckily, my vision did return after maybe a minute or two. The doctors said they weren't too sure what happened, but I didn't really care what happened, because I could see again. Since then, I have no trouble with my eyes, and I fondly remembered my experience of South Hill Community Hospital. This review seemed fairly normal, but I was a bit concerned about the doctor who was laughing at a patient, and so I read the response that the hospital gave to this review, which I have also attached. Hello, sir. Thank you for your kind words about our hospital. We are glad to hear that you had a mostly excellent experience and that your recovery is going well. In regard to the doctor that laughed at you, we have spoken to other staff that were present at the time, and they all have said that no doctor did laugh, and they were all trying to do their best to help you. We would never allow a doctor to laugh at a patient, and if it does come out that someone did, then the matter will be dealt with accordingly. Best of luck with your recovery. South Hill Community Hospital, May 16th, 2017. For some reason that I'm unsure of, I decided to look at the other reviews this guy left. I think maybe because of the laughing doctor that the hospital claimed didn't happen, I wanted to see if this reviewer had had any other weird experiences elsewhere. This led me down a rabbit hole that I wish I had not gone down. The next review of his that I read was for a local restaurant, and I've attached the review and the restaurant's response here. I wasn't aware that this was a themed restaurant, but it was a nice surprise. May 21st, 2017. I booked a table at Wendy's for me and my brother to go out and enjoy some Italian food. Unfortunately, my brother had to cancel, and I thought that I would still make the most of my night and still go out for dinner by myself. The staff that greeted me at the door were very friendly, and they showed me to my table and allowed me to choose a glass of wine from a very impressive wine list. I enjoyed my wine, and I ordered my meal, which didn't take long to arrive, which I was very pleased with. I began eating my puttanesca, and it was very delicious, maybe the best Italian dish I have ever eaten. It was about halfway through my meal when things got a little bit odd. Suddenly all the lights went off, and the restaurant was left in the dark. At first I thought it was my eyes. Long story. But I began to see the dark outline of a figure standing in front of me. The figure was quite tall and appeared to have long fingers that had very long nails at the end of them. The figure took a step towards me and lifted up one of his fingers and pointed its long fingernail towards me. It then let out a loud growling noise when suddenly the lights flicked back on and he was gone. At first I was shocked as to what had happened, but I soon figured out that this was one of those themed restaurants and this one must be horror themed. Once I knew that, I began to realize how much I had enjoyed the experience, and I feel it definitely added to my night. My only advice, however, would be to make it clear that this is horror themed, as some people might not enjoy it as much as me. Okay guys, we're just gonna call this guy Jason. Dear Jason, thank you for your review, but we are a bit puzzled. We are not a horror themed restaurant, we are just a small business that specializes in Italian cuisine. At first, after reading your review, I thought maybe you had written the review about a different restaurant and accidentally posted it on our page. I decided to check security footage though, and I think I have managed to spot you, or someone that looks a lot like your profile picture. I can confirm that no lights went out or that anyone was standing in front of you. I did notice one thing though, and that is while you were eating, your eyes suddenly rolled back into your head and you sat motionless for around 30 seconds before your eyes returned to normal, and you looked puzzled but then continued eating. I hope that everything is okay and that you are all right. Best regards, Management at Wendy's, June 2nd, 2017. I was getting more and more concerned about this reviewer at this point, and continued to read his other reviews, and I read his review after that one, and found that he had similar experiences elsewhere. The following is a review he posted about a live show he attended. This play was fairly good, but the actors got a bit too close for my liking. May 28th, 2017. Based on a recent experience at a horror-themed restaurant that gave me a bit of a fright, I have found that I have become interested in finding something else that can give me a bit of a spook. That's when I found that there is a play being performed at the Silverstone Theater. As this is near my house, I thought I would give it a go. I read some other reviews and it was read that it was supposed to be quite scary and would give everyone a bit of a fright. It sounded like something I would be quite interested in. When the play began, I found myself enjoying it quite a bit. It provided a few good scares and a few good laughs. I found that it did get a bit boring during the middle section, but it is the ending that I have most issue with. I was sitting there watching the play, and during one of the moments that was dark and suspenseful, suddenly one of the actors appeared quite close to me. In fact, he was only inches away from my face and he was staring straight into my eyes. His eyes were the only thing I could see, and the rest of his face was still in the silhouette. But he must have had some contact lenses on because his eyes were a light yellow tinge around the whites of his eyes, and they were a dark red in the center. He then began to laugh a deep, raspy laugh, and I could feel his hot, stinking breath across my face. Then as quickly as he appeared, he disappeared again. I thought this was a fairly cheap jump scare that for some reason singled me out. I thought it was irresponsible of this production to not warn audience members that the actors may appear so close to them. At the time of posting this, there had been no response from the theater or the production company that put on the show. I was equal parts worried and curious. I needed to know more about this man and his strange reviews. So I read his next one. Not quite eventful, but it was still strange. The optometrist didn't even try to help me when I came to him for help. June 6, 2017. I have been having a strange problem with my eyes in the past few days, and so I have turned to optimistic optometrist for help. But help is not something he can provide. When I got there, I told him that for the past few days I have felt a weird shaking in my eyes. At first he seemed concerned, which is the reason I am giving you a 2 stars and not a 1. And he did begin to run a few tests as to why that would be. After trying a couple of things, he quickly dismissed the idea that my eyes were shaking as being in my head, and he couldn't find any evidence that my eyes were shaking. He was quick to get me out of the door and told me to see a doctor if the problem persists. Well, the problem has persisted, and in fact it's gotten worse. I constantly feel a strong shake from behind my eyes, and it almost feels like something is trying to get out. It has gone to the point where it's almost unbearable, and thanks to you, I wasn't able to find any comfort. There wasn't any reply to this review from the other users or from the optometrist at the time of posting. I was very concerned for this man now. He appears to have a serious issue, and almost every review seems to involve his eyes. The final review I can find from this user is one for a pawn shop, and the review and the response from the pawn shop may be the most concerning. Why advertise that you buy an item when you clearly do not? June 8th, 2017. I came into your store this morning and tried to sell you an item, but was told to leave and that they would not buy what I had to sell. However, the sign out of your front of your store reads, "We buy any item." This is clearly not true. I told you that I would happily remove the item from its cases if it made it easier, but this is the moment when I was told to leave. I will not be returning to your store as it appears you are lying on your advertising. Very disappointed. Can you please remove this review? It reflects very badly on my small business to have a bad review, especially when you didn't explain the full story, which is, you came into my store quite distressed and began yelling and bugging me to take an item from you. You explained that I wouldn't need to buy it and that I could just have it. At first I thought you were trying to give me an illegal item and that you needed to get rid of it quickly. This is why I refused it at first. Then you continued to explain what the item was. I know the sign out of the front store says that we buy any item, but I'm telling you right now, we definitely will not buy your eyes off you, even if you do take them out of their cases, as you said. So again, I would appreciate it if you did remove this review. Whoa, that took a turn. That took a turn. I'm getting spooked out now. After reading this final review, I was desperate to know more, but the reviews ended there. He never wrote another one. I then did a bit of detective work and looked at the Facebook page that was attached to his account and managed to find his brother. I then looked up any reviews his brother may have written, and I managed to find the only review that his brother had written. I have attached this review and the response here. Overall happy with the services, apart from one thing. I recently had to use the services of South Hill Funeral Home for my brother's funeral. The funeral service that they provided was very touching and is what we wanted, and more importantly, it is what my brother would have wanted. Nice words were said, and the place looked lovely. There were nice flowers around the chapel. The funeral was an open casket funeral as per our request, and this was something that we had been very specific about and had given the funeral home specific instructions about. This is what my one complaint is. Given the way my brother died, we asked for his eyes to definitely be closed. When we viewed the body, what I saw will always haunt me. Him lying there with his eyelids opened, and the black holes where his eyes used to be staring up at me. Dear Michael, I'm glad to hear that the service was what your brother would have wanted. I am concerned, however, about your complaint. We made sure to follow all your instructions in regard to preparing the body, and we made sure that his eyes were closed. I do also remember that when I removed his body after the service, his eyes were most definitely firmly closed. I am unsure how they would have been open when you viewed the body, but I profusely apologize for this mistake. Kind regards from management at South Hill Funeral Home. This review from his brother told me one thing. This man was now dead. This made me need to find out more about his death, and so I trawled through the internet searching for his name, his brother's name at any of the locations that he wrote reviews for. Eventually I managed to find one newspaper article from a fairly small local paper that I believed to be about this man. I have attached the article here. Local man's death may have been mistakenly ruled a suicide. The coroner's report has just been released of the death of a local man. The man in question was found dead in his own apartment. He was found with scratches on his face and with both of his eyes removed from his head and were instead on the floor in front of him. It was originally believed to be a suicide, but the recent coroner's report has raised more questions than it has provided answers. One of those questions is now, was this really a suicide? This is now being brought into question because of the two key findings in the report. The first is a small dark footprint that had been found just in front of the body where it was found. The second finding is that it appears the man may not have removed his own eyes like originally thought, but instead they may have been pushed out of his head from the inside. This is all the information I am able to find about this death, and I hope that more information may be uncovered, so that there can be some answers, but I doubt it. Wow, that was pretty scary. I enjoyed reading that one a lot. That was pretty long too. I'm at 21 minutes right now. Hopefully I can cut it down from mess-ups I made while I was speaking. We will see though. Please like and subscribe and share this video if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you would have liked better. Watch my other videos. That's it. Love you.